Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode 14 of the Streamlined Motherhood podcast. I'm your host and resident life coach, Kate Saffel, and I am so pumped for today's topic. There is this question that tends to float around in the motherhood realm, particularly with those high achiever women that leave you scratching your head and wondering, how does she do it all? Today's podcast episode is not about how you can do it all, because that's actually asking the wrong question. Instead, I'm going to walk you through asking the question, why would you want it all? The answer may very well surprise you, so stick with me through this episode, regardless of if you currently think of yourself as someone who gets stuff done or as someone who couldn't complete a task if the world depended on it. I am so fired up, so let's go ahead and jump right in. This is the Streamlined Motherhood podcast. I'm Kate Saffel, certified simplicity parenting family life coach and mom of 3. I'm here to guide you back to your intuition, to help you overcome daily overwhelm, and to start feeling confident in the mama and woman you are. Each episode, I'll share tips and encouragement for thriving on your motherhood journey, because this life you're living is way too important to put on autopilot. So tell me, do you know a woman who seems to have it all and do it all? Maybe she's a good friend of yours, or someone from your child's school, or even someone that you admire on Instagram. No matter how much you try to slice and dice it, you cannot figure out how she does what she does without losing her mind. Perhaps you even question her motives, her values, or even her sanity. Honestly, though, none of that even matters because for some reason you are drawn to the way she lives her life and want to know her secret. We're going to call this particular type of woman the doer mama. And then let's turn the tables. Perhaps either you or someone you know chronically struggles with getting stuff done or committing to projects. Maybe you have dreams about who you could be or what you could accomplish, but it just feels like you don't have time, or the kids are too little, or you simply do not know how. You might be frustrated with yourself, but try as you might, you simply cannot will yourself into being a doer. It's easier to focus on the little tasks right in front of your face than to step into your fear and into the unknown. Your life becomes about waiting and waiting while it feels like the world is passing you by. I'm going to call this person the chill mama. So I just described 2 types of women, and let's be honest, we all tend to fall somewhere in between the two and not necessarily into one over the other. It's also important to note that one of these is not more desirable than the other. You can be a doer mama and mentally, emotionally, physically healthy, or you can completely run yourself into the ground. You could be a chill mama in a season of needing rest and doing nothing, which is replenishing your soul. Or you could be avoiding the very life-giving activities and goals that will fill your cup. So let's be clear, this podcast is not about convincing you to be one or the other. Rather, it's about explaining why and how we fall into these categories and how to intuitively know when it's time to shift to the other. I'm also going to equip you with the tools to do so. So hang on, because this is going to be a deep dive. Throughout my adult years, I've bounced between these 2 types of personalities. In early adulthood, I was full-on go-getter with my daily lists and keeping my checkbook perfectly balanced with every single purchase or expense. And yes, in case you were wondering, this was before online banking, so don't judge my impeccable financial habits from my early 20s. And then in early motherhood, I hit a wall as I transitioned out of teaching high school to being a stay-at-home mom for about 18 months. Try as I might, I couldn't bring myself to want to do anything. And so I floated through my days with very little personal growth, and felt really stuck, and I was just getting by. Which is okay, because remember, we're not going to pass judgment on ourselves here. And during that time, I just really needed that space to see what it was I wanted out of my life and my motherhood experience. And then a few years later, I started teaching humanities at a local university and podcasting with a friend. Cohesive home, anyone? This is when I began transitioning back into the doer mama personality. This didn't come without its negatives, as I completely overdid it, exhausted myself, and got completely mentally and physically burnt out. So I cleaned the slate again and took about 6 months to just breathe and rest and figure out exactly what I wanted out of my life. This is also when I began working with a life coach to figure out my purpose in life and cultivate a new direction, part of which is this very podcast that you're listening to. However, it took me several years of really working on my mindset, goals, and values to reach what I consider the holy grail of motherhood, and that is feeling confident that I really can do it all if I want to. And for the most part, I really can do everything I need and want to do without much stress, self-sabotaging, or loss of sleep. And believe me, if I can find this contented place in motherhood, anyone can. So are you with me? The key to finding this happy middle ground is to do the following 4 steps. 1, get clear on your values. 2, determine your life legacy. 3, evaluate your life. And 4, shift your mindset. Now, I'm not going to spend any time talking about the first 2, values and life legacy, because I talk about these a lot. And I know that evaluating your life and shifting your mindset is where people often get stuck. So let's unstick ourselves, shall we? So we should evaluate our lives every couple of months or whenever there's been a big change or transition at home or work. Think of it this way. You would never hire an employee for your company and then forget to ever give them a review, right? Review or evaluations provide a summary of past experiences and accomplishments, areas of improvement, and a game plan going forward. You are your most valuable employee, so take the time to get to know yourself and see what's really going on in your life. Here is how you do it. Sit down with a piece of paper and something to write with and ask yourself the following questions. Bonus points if you can do this without any kids around and you can have some true silence. 1, what's working really well in my life? 2, what in my life needs improvement? 3, what do I dream about accomplishing? And 4, what would add even more value to my days and my life? Go slow here and see what comes up for you with these questions. If your response is, I don't know, don't give yourself permission to stay there. Keep gently prodding yourself until you can figure out an answer. You can keep saying, but why? But why not? Until you find a response. Look for insight into areas that have been neglected and need your attention. Especially if you are a chill mama, find the gaps where you need to grow into your potential. If you come up with some ideas, goals, or dreams, watch your brain so you don't immediately shoot yourself down. We are our own worst enemies, and the critic in our heads is far worse than anyone outside it. Guard yourself against yourself, unless you're one of those rare unicorn people that unconditionally loves herself, which is truthfully what we're all shooting for, right? So now you may find those gaps and see areas you would like to grow into and maybe even wonder why you haven't taken action before. Don't go down that road. Don't question. Don't look in the past. Our goal is to keep moving forward. Perhaps you very clearly know that you have been avoiding doing something that needs to be done, or even that you want to do it, but you can't bring yourself to do it. Our minds are so powerful, and whatever we repeat to ourselves, we create more of. So let's look at an example of this. Recently, I ran into a mom who was telling me how she would like to work on her business, but won't have the time until her youngest is in kindergarten, which is 3 years away. She had resigned herself to taking 0 action on her business for an entire 3 years because it was easier for her to shut down her interests than to invest in finding solutions. And here's the kicker. She wasn't happy about this decision, but because she believed it was impossible to have a business and young children at home, she completely roadblocked herself. And her outcome is that she's not working on her business. Now, perhaps you've consciously made a similar decision, and what's wrong for one person might be totally right for another. Again, no judgment here. Instead, we look at the reason why someone is opting out of doing. Is it because of fear? Is it because of a scarcity mindset or the idea that there isn't enough of something to go around, whether that's time or money or education? Is it because others told her she would be a bad mom if she does or does not do something? Dig into why you're not taking action and ask yourself if you truly believe that or if you're ready to believe something new about yourself. We are so strong and capable as women, and that power can be almost frightening. I look at the women around me and I can see how they are powerful beyond their belief, meaning they are capable of so much more than they allow themselves. The ceiling is lowered not necessarily from other people, but from our own beliefs about ourselves. There is no faster way to shut down your progress in life than to tell yourself it's impossible or that you cannot do it. Boom, you just decided your fate on that one when you utter those words. My friends, do not do that to yourself. Get clear on what belief is holding you back. If you're feeling stuck and can see how you've limited yourself in the past, there is no shame. Today is a new day, and you can make a decision today to step boldly into your future. You've identified the limiting belief you have about yourself. Now, what thought would better serve you? Perhaps you struggle to get anything done and never feel like you have enough time or energy. Instead of thinking, I can never get it all done, change your thought to, it's possible for me to get it all done. Do you feel the difference between those two statements? The first one feels like giving up and dejected, and the second statement is hopeful and powerful. Now, let me tell you a little secret. When the thought that you want to hold intersects with a positive feeling in your body, you now have yourself a new belief baby. In other words, for you to believe this new message about yourself, you have to feel that energy and that possibility in your body. Now, if this feels kind of woo-woo to you, let me ask you a question. Have you ever believed yourself to be in love? How did that feel in your body? Perhaps you had that butterfly feeling or this intense, comforting warmth around your heart. Maybe you felt light like a bubble that was going to float away in the air. You believed you were in love because you held the thought, I am in love, while you also felt it deeply in your body. So here's the deal. We can do the exact same thing with what we believe about our ability to get things done. Choose a new thought, create a positive feeling in your body, and start telling yourself this new belief daily. Listen, I am super busy, and this isn't a humble brag, but my reality. I teach humanities still for a university online. I have a full life coaching schedule. I homeschool my 2 oldest daughters 3 days a week. I podcast, I freelance write, and I love spending time with my kids and my husband and friends. My house has not been condemned yet. I sleep at least 7 to 8 hours per night, and last time I checked, I had not lost my sanity either. Previously, when I've tried to have so much on my plate, I would make myself sick with stress. And here's why. I didn't believe I could handle the responsibilities and commitments that had been entrusted to me, and I self-sabotaged by not taking action or even actually getting sick. Yes, your mind can so strongly believe that you aren't capable of doing something that being sick is an easier way for your body to handle your lack of belief in yourself. It literally lets you off the hook because who can argue with being sick? When I shifted my belief about myself and truly believed I could accomplish anything I need to, I acted like someone who could get stuff done. And when I acted that way, it really did come true. I can get everything done now that I need to and that I choose to. I'm not special, and you can 100% do the same, but you have to actually believe that you can and you have to want to. Not believing and not desiring will keep you in the exact same holding pattern for years. And if this is what you want, then by all means, stay in that place. But eventually the day will come when you are ready for the shift. It's like this quote by Anais Nin, which says, "And the day came when the risk it took to remain tight inside the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." Can you relate to being that tight bud that is trying not to bloom? Listen, I totally believe in you and your ability to blossom into who you were designed to be. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. If you are one of my doer mamas, you're probably so used to getting things done efficiently and effectively that you rarely question why you're doing them in the first place. There are expectations on you that may even seem unfair, and it's because others have learned to depend on you. You too should also be evaluating your life and be willing to let go of certain responsibilities and commitments that are no longer serving you. Perhaps your thought isn't that you can't do it all, like the chill mama, but rather that you should do it all. Whenever we tell ourselves we should do something, it's usually an expectation we've internalized from those around us or from our childhood. Somewhere along the line, a family member, a teacher, a TV show, whatever it is, communicated an expectation and we believed it to be necessary for ourselves. Some of this might manifest as language around good moms versus bad moms, or even guilt around the role you've taken on and how it might impact your family. Anytime we say, I should, we can instead change it to, I could, and I choose to, ... then decide what it is you really choose. So you could say, I could do such and I choose not to. Choose not what others think you should do or expect of you, but what you truly believe is right for your life. Using your values and life legacy as a litmus test can also work wonders for making sure you're not saying yes to everything that comes your way. Our value as doer mamas does not come from what we produce for others, but for the way we shine our own unique light in the world. You can be totally accomplished and fulfilled without burning yourself out either. And finally, for both types of women, the point of this episode was not to justify doing too much or too little in life. My goal with this episode was not to teach you how to do it all, but help you question if it really matters. What do you want from your life? Are you satisfied with it so far, or are you ready for more or different? What I want to leave you with before I end this episode is that regardless of which of the two personalities resonate with you, whether that's the doer mama or the chill mama, your life experience is in your hands. You can become whatever you want and need to become. The choice is yours, and you are responsible for your life and creating what you desire for it. I hope that this podcast inspired you, maybe even motivated you a bit, and definitely gives you lots to think about. DM me on Instagram at thestreamlinedlife or send me an email to hello@thestreamlinedlife.com and let me know what comes up after you listen to this episode. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.